GT3 is at the center of worldwide racing, and therefore it fits right into 2025 Major Series schedule with ease. This third round of the season takes drivers back to a road course, further emphasizing the adaptability needed to win a Major Series championship. With 2 ovals on the way, this could be a crucial win for any road-based driver looking for a leg up. Welcome to Pitstop TV and the virtual Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Burtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the 2025 Major Series. Today's coverage from Road America is brought to you by the Major Series, by Majors Garage, and by Whiplash SimCams. And Zach, as you finally join us here for the Major Series in 2025, I know this is one that you were looking forward to. Road America GT3 cars, a classic combo at this point. We had a special event here just a couple months ago in January with this same kind of format, a longer race, GT3 cars, Road America, so we have an idea of what to expect. But that was a team event. These are solo drivers competing for a championship, and they've got to endure this long course for 2 straight hours. That's not easy.
No, it's not. And Road America is a very complex road course. You know, any road course can be complex, but I think Road America stands out just because of, its certain characteristics in terms of the elevation change. You've got massive elevation change from turn 1 to turn 5, really from turn 14 to turn 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 8. I mean, there's elevation change all over the racetrack. 12 to 14 is probably the most interesting in my opinion, just because of how it sets you up going up the hill. You've got a lot of hard 90-degree radius corners on this track. The carousel is a big thing too. It's not a traditional carousel, say like Watkins Glen. You can ride that bottom line. Some like to double apex it. Some like to just ride it with a wide entry and cut in to set up for 11. There's so many different ways to drive around Road America, and they can all be quick.
We'll see who's the quickest, though, over the course of 2 hours here coming up soon. Let's take a look at point standings coming into this evening. And boy, things have shaken up quite a bit. Nathan Dowd with a second win on the season now leads the standings at 479. Robert Nash in second spot, 60 back. Then Dallas Pataska in third. Vincent Laherbier fourth, and so on and so forth. Tom Ebermine is Christian Abate, Christian Challoner, Ozzie Milwane, Joey Haynes, Ryan Steele, your top 10. And through this top 24, there has been a lot of motion these opening couple of rounds. We expect that to continue, at least with this race as well. Drivers are going to move around a whole lot. They're still finding their kind of mid-season swing. They're trying to get set into this season and get into a rhythm. So we're going to see these guys move up and down and all around on this points graphic between now and the World 600.
Every time I hear someone say up and down and all around, I immediately think of, oh my goodness, what is it? It's the Sonic the Hedgehog level, because they say that in one of the songs they play in the background, but I'm still relatively new to the Major Series. I know we covered the Majors 24 last year, so I'm gonna be dipping my feet into this and learning a little bit more here, Andrew, with a lot of these guys, and the schedule moving forward showcases a lot of great races that I'm looking forward to. The World 600, obviously, they're using the Gen 4 for it, so that is like really classic feel to me for the Coca-Cola 600 or the World 600 as it used to be called. You've got the Speedway 500 reminiscent of the Indy 500. There's a lot of big name events on here that I just love to see them really dipping their hand into.
Well, and that's the point, right? To run the major events of the year, including the World Series of Asphalt, Super Late Models on track at New Smyrna down in August. Granted, that event is usually held in February, but we're imitating it here on iRacing, trying to fit it into the schedule and trying to hit these big name events across the course of the schedule, including Le Mans, including Petit Le Mans, including the Southern 500, the Bathurst 500, the Japanese Grand Prix. So many different styles of racing. We can keep talking about it, keep harping on it. We've talked about it all the season already to this point. It's just cool to see all the different facets of racing these guys have to endure as we get closer and closer to nailing down a champion. Now, that said, there is no qualifying, of course. We'll go right into the race session this afternoon, and all drivers are already headed to the grid. Let's take a look at the Whiplash SimCams race details quickly. A 120-minute race with unlimited tire sets, 100% fuel, open setups, 1 fast fix if needed, 1 pit possible. It may require 2. And of course, there will be a pit stop at some point. You can do it in one pit stop, is what that's trying to say. One pit is possible, but it may require 2 pit stops over the course of these 2 hours. Generally, a full fuel stint in a GT3 car is an hour, give or take. And that give or take is why it could be 1 stop, it could be 2 stops. You've got to play your cards right, you've got to do some drafting. You do not want to be the sole driver out front the entire race. You will have to bear the full brunt of all of that air and all that not dirty air, clean air. But what I'm trying to say is, you won't have the draft. You won't be able to fuel save. And you want to fuel save in this race, so we'll see how that goes over the course of the afternoon. Let's get down to the grid, though. A lucky performance starting grid. On pole, Nathan Dowd. He's got 2 wins to start the season. A class win at Daytona, then a overall race win in the Intimidator, and now he's starting on pole. Can this guy get any better? He's going to lead us to the green alongside the Corvette of Ross Banfield. Starting 3rd, it'll be Christian Challoner. Aiden Campbell from 4th. Starting 5th, Eric Sarapoli alongside Ozzie Milwane. From 7th, it's Dallas Pataska. From 8th, Austin O'Neill. And from 9th and 10th, you've got Bradley Haley and Eric Della Riva.
Rolling off 11th and 12th on the grid, you've got Brian Bennett and Lyndon Swaby in that row number 6. Following behind them in the 13th and the 14th starting position, you've got Zeke Cabani and Mark Stevenson, 2 drivers that are probably going to try to punch their way through to the front. I would too if I was in the midfield. 15th and 16th on the grid, you'll find Dick Mueller and Jimbo Pfeiffer. In the row number 8, excuse me, got like a little frog in my throat there, Andrew. Vincent LeHubert and Kevin Hill, 17th and 18th on the starting grid tonight. And then to round out your top 20 in the 19th and 20th spot, you'll find Lionel Calisto and Robert Nash.
Starting 21st of the 44-car field, it's Ray Partridge in the 8-car, Brenton Foster from 22nd spot. Starting back at 23rd position in row number 12, you'll find Shane McCoy alongside Tom Abramides, and then just ahead, behind them rather, Brian Bertum and Scott Kennedy. And back in row 14, Chris Willard and Rafael Santos. And finally, to complete your top 30, David Henger and Shane Vickery.
31st on the grid, you'll find Nick Kuhn and Wesley True. They'll be rolling off 30. He'll roll off 32nd. And then 33rd and 34th on the grid, right behind those 2, you'll find Bryce Roberts and Brent Pancari. They're going to be starting very deep in the field, as will the rest of these guys. 33rd, you'll find 35th, you'll find Jeff Cardamone and Peter Cheney in 36th position. 37th on the grid, you'll find Brad Wren and Kevin Santana. And then to start 39th and 40th on the grid, you will find just behind these 2, Sebastian Jackson and Callan Tobin, and then 4 cars left after that, only 2 rows, Andrew.
Back in 41st spot, Jesse Canala is in the 523, Joseph Homan from the 42nd position, and your final row on the grid, how about 43rd and 44th? Brian McGreevy and David Callahan. 44 cars in all on this starting grid, ready to go racing for 2 hours here at Road America. I'll put you on the spot, Zach, and I'll even let you take him if you want. He's got 2 wins on the season. Nathan Dowd leads us to the green, but who do you have to win this race?
Oh no, Andrew, you are not putting me on the spot this time. I'm going to sit back, relax, enjoy some GT3 racing here on Pit Stop TV at Road America, and I'll let me, that is, make my pick when I get a little bit more acclimated to the great racing that we're going to see today.
It was worth a shot. Well, good to have you here anyway, Zach, and I want to give a thank you to Scott Shine for opening the season with us for a couple of rounds. Unfortunately, couldn't make it this evening. So hope to have him back here soon. The World 600 is coming up. That's right, in all of our wheelhouses. It'll be a lot of fun, but for now, we've got GT3 cars on a great American road course. Road America. Through Bill Mitchell Bend and down to turn number 14, the iRacing.com safety car will take off and leave the field to it. And we're going to get this show on the road. Finally, a very long pace lap. It's hard to fill that whole time, but here we go. Up the uphill. Into the start-finish line, Nathan Dowd, Ross Banfield, McLaren, Corvette alongside one another. Everybody else in behind trying to find their spot and get ready to go racing. We are green flag racing at Road America. Already a launch from Nathan Dowd. Ross Banfield trying to hold on to second, but Christian Challoner up the inside. 2x2x2x2, all the way back in behind your race leader.
Boy, I love watching cars fan out. That's one of the big things I love about sports car racing, the fan out and the drive down into turn number 1. And as they go into the long straightaway, you see these cars leading all the way down through the straightaway, getting single filed out. That's the big thing you're going to see, Andrew. Once these guys get single filed out, it's just going to be a freight train that they like to call it here in racing.
A move here.
Got to move to the inside.
To the inside of Christian Challoner. That's for third spot, right at the apex of turn 5. Challoner out into the dust. Just hangs on to the spot though on the outside, and he's going to battle now. Let that car go by. So Campbell makes the best of the opportunity and will go by Christian Challoner in a daring lap 1 move. And we've got trouble in the back. Jimbo Pfeiffer in the 0-0.
Out there, Beach in the sand trap, but he's going to get that car rolling. It does not look like there's any major damage on that McLaren. So we're going to stay green. Obviously, we're going to stay green. It's road course racing, Andrew. It's local enforced yellows. I completely forgot about that. I've been watching too much NASCAR racing. But they're going to roll through Canada Corner here, and you can already see the lead is getting stretched out from first to second, and even second to third. Most of the racing is mid-pack as they just get so close to the grass there from Canada Corner. That's so fun to see.
In the Canada Corner now, Eric Starpoli and his McLaren on the back end of the Acura of Christian Challoner. You'll know it's Challoner by that number 1 on the back end of the race car. Watching these two nose to tail. Brenton Foster now in trouble in the 11. It's low into Canada Corner, losing a lot of positions and a lot of rear end damage. The whole rear fascia is gone.
Did he have some right front toe damage as well? It was hard to tell there from a second.
Gonna look. Car is not handling right without the rear fascia. There is definitely some toe damage.
He is taking that car to the pit road. Look at that wheel. He's got it cranked to the left. It's at about 11, 10 o'clock right now, so you can tell there's definitely some right side damage. Not the way you want to start a 2-hour endurance race, especially with that kind of damage. And he's bringing a couple cars with him to the pit lane. That's Pfeiffer right there after his spin early on into the sand trap. Not seeing major damage on that car, Andrew, so wondering what the pit stop's for.
I just want to come in, and he's already in the back of the field, come in and top off on fuel and be good to go for that one stop from here. Hard to say exactly what he's pitting for, but regardless, we continue on, and of course, it shouldn't be too bad for Brenton Foster. He does have a fast fix he can use if he pleases at this point in time. Otherwise, wait on some optional repairs. As there's problems in the back. Oh my goodness, Brian Bennett, Zeke Cabani. Contact here out of turn 5.
That's not what you want to see. Oh, he's having trouble steering that race car too. A lot of cars getting stacked up through the uphill. We just keep it on rolling. I mean, that's how we do it here.
Take a look at what happened to Zeke Cabani, and I believe that was, we'll find out here in a second. Cabani on the inside, cracks out and catches that other machine. I'm trying to remember who that was. My mind has already completely forgotten. Brian Bennett, 71 car.
Yeah, that's some heavy debris on the racetrack. So I'm assuming there will be a debris flag shown to these drivers when they roll through that section for at least a lap and a half, maybe a lap or two. But hate to see it, Andrew.
Here. Brian Bennett from Sector 5 Racing, troubles down in turn 5. You see the big dive bomb out of the 902, and Cabani just tracked out. Might have thought he was clear to do so, but certainly was not.
He definitely wasn't. It's easy to make that mistake, especially in sports car racing. Heck, it's easy to make that mistake in short track racing as well. You know, we've seen it time and time again, Andrew, here on Pit Stop TV. Drivers will track out or track in. You know, they can hit either side, and it just ends up costing them a lot more than it seems worth.
Well, out front, it's all Nathan Dowd. 2 wins to start the season, a class win at Daytona in the 2.4. A win, an outright race win in the Intimidator a couple of weeks ago. Now leading at Road America, but yeah, look at that big move. That's Aiden Campbell going on by Ross Banfield. Campbell has been sensational to get this race started. That big move on Christian Challoner in turn 5. Now another big move on Ross Banfield in turn 5. That Acura has got everything set up for that 5th corner so perfectly.
You know, Andrew, I have always wondered, because I've seen so many drivers using so many different cars. It's what you see in sports car racing. It's one of the big things about it. You love seeing the difference in manufacturers, but I got to pick your brain here. In your opinion, out of the GT3 field, what car do you think stands out to you the most in terms of the best drivability, maybe the best overall top speed, whatever makes it seem like it could be the best all-round car?
You know, I said it when we had the Sick Kids event here in January at Road America. I like the Acura. I gave it some test laps at that point in time. I just enjoyed the way the car felt, and that seems to be the meta now, is to go for the Acura. That's what Aiden Campbell is driving there in the in 2nd spot. That's what Christian Challenger is driving in 4th. You'll see a lot of them throughout the course of this field. It feels very neutral to me personally, and it seems to be the car that so many drivers are opting for. We did hear some rumors that the Chevrolet Corvette was about the best on fuel saving, and so maybe that's why Ross Banfield has gone for it, to make sure that he's good to go on a one-stop strategy. But it seems like the Acura and the McLaren both are kind of the cars of choice throughout the course of this.
I think there's overall benefits to every single car, and I'm more so preferable to the Corvette myself. But I'm starting to see a lot more drivers really differentiate themselves when it comes to the style or just the overall manufacturer that they prefer. And obviously a big thing, Andrew, that I think about when it comes to just choosing what car best suits you is just overall comfortability. You know, the Acura may be the best car all around, but you may not necessarily feel comfortable in it, so you don't necessarily want to take advantage of being able to drive it. You want to stick with something that's more suited for your style, and that's why I like seeing some of the Mustangs come into play now. It's one of the newer cars into the GT3 category, and it's becoming a bit more prominent now. I'm seeing a lot more drivers starting to use it rather than the Acura or the Corvette or the McLaren or even the Ferrari, but I've heard the Ferrari is overall really good as well. So just finding what works, finding what's comfortable for you, I think it's just going to make that car overall better.
Well, as we press on here, an hour and 52 minutes to go, a long race for these guys. And there are some battles throughout the field. Here's a look at one of them, Mark Stevenson and Lyndon Swaby. This is for 12th position. And we'll do our best as the afternoon wears on to cover these battles that are deep in the field, to cover throughout the course of the 44 cars that are here and check in with more than just the leader. I know that's something a lot of people want to see. They want to cover the midfield and the backfield sometimes. This is one of those battles right now. On board with Swaby, tracking out just over the edge of the kink. Another Sector 5 driver. They are very popular in this top split. A lot of Sector 5 team in this top split of the Americans.
Still familiarizing myself with some of these teams, Andrew. I know we covered them in detail for their Majors 24 last year, but it's like reintroducing yourself when you're stepping into something like this. And you know, I love these onboard shots that we can see of these drivers as well. Just seeing how the particle effects of the dirt and the grass and how it rolls off of these race cars is still mind-boggling to me, and just how in detail it's become. And you know, moving on into this race, we're going to start seeing the groove be a lot more defined. And you know, as they step off of that, we're going to see these guys maybe dipping their tires off the curbs a little bit into the grass. And I don't know how well it'll benefit them, but hey, I whatever makes the car faster, you know?
Couldn't agree more. Here's Eric Dalla Riva chasing down Austin O'Neill. This is from 9th position. Eric runs 10th currently. The close battle on the racetrack. Then Stevenson and Swaby are close. How much battling do you want to do in these opening 10 minutes, though? Well, here we go. Swaby looks to the inside and will make the pass, maybe? No, Swaby has to wait. Might be able to get it done up here at turn 6. And yes, we'll make the pass at turn 6, almost, maybe. Jeez, these guys will not let go of one another.
Such tight racing right here.
Stevenson goes back by, and here we go. We've got a whole group of them now, a whole swath of cars.
6 cars you can throw under a blanket, 4 of them side by side going through the next corner into the carousel. They're going to get mostly single file on board with Kevin Hill as he's chasing down the 3 cars in front of him. He runs it wide. Now he's side by side once again. He's got a Lamborghini sitting next to him. That is a Lamborghini, right? Or is that an Acura? Or am I was about to say, it looks like a Lamborghini. Lamborghini still has a GT3 program, right?
We do, I think, have one Lamborghini in the field. I think I saw one. I could be confusing myself with Thursday where we covered the North American Racing League and there was a Lamborghini in that field. I could be confusing it.
But off track.
I think we have a Lambo as Mark Stevenson goes out wide at Canada Corner. That'll back the Mustang up to the Acura of Kevin Hill. And right behind Hill, you've got Abramatis and Nash. So this is a long train of cars now. Swaby's finally getting away. Listo in 13th. We're on board with Stevenson in 14th. Then Hill, Abramatis, Nash, all the way down from 17th spot. Ratum in 18th. Kennedy and Willard, your top 20. And don't look now, Zach. We've got a battle inside the top 5. Christian Challenger, Eric Staropoli.
That we do. These cars are just getting closer and closer together, which is surprising to see because usually when it comes to road course racing, I feel like they all just start spacing out and getting a little bit further apart from each other. But I can't tell if some of these drivers are just settling into the run, being patient, or if they genuinely want to go for the passes. Obviously, we saw in the midfield, they're going for passes right now. But these guys up the front, they can sit in each other's draft, you know? They can coast a little bit more. And obviously, with the dirty air, they have to check up further for these corners so that they don't drive through them, get too tight, oversteer, as they like to call it. And it's just strategy playing, in my opinion. It's like I said, I can't tell what they want to do right now.
I think these guys are settling in, just trying to get a rhythm in this. Still super early compared to the rest of the race that we have to go. And there are just battles all over. This is back to that battle we were covering prior with Stevenson, Hill, and Abramatis. We've got battles here, battles there, battles everywhere. This is back up into the top 10. Here we go.
Ooh, big time wiggle right there. Got into the dirt.
Trying to go by a lap car. Aiden Campbell is getting held up. Who is that? That is going to be Wesley True in the 69 car. In 42nd spot, getting held up.
That's going to bring in a couple of these guys to get closed back up. Fight for that second spot, about to heat up once again. Banfield is closing in on Campbell. Just everybody about a 10th. On board with Wesley True as he's letting lead lap cars go. He's not in a position to continue to let cars go, so he's going to have to settle in right here. He's going to pull to the right-hand side, let this gaggle of cars go. Now, I know it's FIA regulation, but I don't know if it's sports car regulation because there's different sports car series, and they're not all run by the FIA. But when you get the blue flag, you're supposed to move over within about 2 marshal stands before you get a warning or a penalty, that is. I don't know if that's all round, though.
That's some Formula One regulation. Oh, Staropoli pushing on. Milwane in contact.
Ow.
Milwane bullied himself back onto the racetrack. Was not going to let him. Oh, big hit there. Eric Dallariva. Milwane got shoved off and was not about that.
Talking about Formula One, talk about Fernando Alonso, that famous quote, all the time you have to leave the space.
Yeah, space was not left for Milwane on track out there. I think Staropoli planned to have the pass made and simply didn't.
Move.
Again here, slow it down for you. Staropoli comes in and just tracks out of turn 5, and Milwane was not going to let himself be bullied like that. Shoved back over onto the curbing.
Look at the quick heads-up move. Who was the driver right there in the BMW?
Oh, and Eric Dallariva just read that wrong and went to the right when he should have went to the left.
Zig when you should have zagged, as they say.
You can look at it on board from Staropoli. Oh. Massive crunch when he got hit. And then Eric Dallariva had problems continuing on from there. Trying to find him here. Here we go. There goes the front bumper. Ends up pulling off into the grass. I don't think he could turn. That pushes Stevenson out onto the grass out of turn 7, so a fellow Mustang.
Costed him a couple of spots, too.
Yes, it did. I don't think Dollareva could turn right here.
I don't think he has any relative steering control. I mean, he's got some, but not a lot.
Check in and see if he's still struggling on the racetrack. He has... Oh, yeah, he has struggled all the way around. The look at the left front, it is not connected the way it needs to be anyway. See him struggling. The right-hand corner is the problem.
And I think race control is going to take a look. So we just got a notification from race control that the car 338 lap 7 is under review. That's Mark Stevenson. So I'm assuming the incident of him getting pushed off there is going to be under review. But Riva brings that
I would
Mustang
expect
to the
Stevenson
lane.
might be protesting.
The security of the pit box, and that car is more than likely done for the day.
Well, out front, Nathan Dowd continues to lead in cars 7. It has not been very exciting for the race lead, if I'm being honest. It has been Nathan Dowd since the drop of the green flag, and sometimes you have those kinds of days. It just might be his to go for a 3rd win in a row.
Saying that awfully early into the race. We're only about 17 minutes of the way through. But hey, when you've got an almost 4-second lead, there's hard evidence to say that you will succeed on the day. He's got a commanding lead, definitely, Andrew. There's no stopping him right now. There you see the 2nd place car just cresting over the hill. 3rd, 4th, and 5th to follow. Speaking of the 5th place car, Andrew, Dallas Pataska in that number 24 car. He's one of our regulars in the Sarah Super Series, and it's interesting to see him here doing some road racing.
It is, and he's actually a builder, and that's the BMW that actually made that very decisive move. Heads-up move, yeah. Get by that crash in turn 5. Dallas is a builder with Majors Garage and frequents these Majors events. Good to see him here this afternoon, this evening. A regular in the Majors, a regular in the Sarah Super Series. We've come to know and appreciate Dallas Pataska's driving abilities.
That we do. He's had some good fortune in races lately. He's been having some good performance.
Off track here.
Off
That's
track.
the 69 of Wesley True being lapped. It is so difficult when you get lapped early in these races because the field is still on top of each other. When the field is more spread out, it's easier to let portions of the field go by at a time. Let one car here, 2 cars there. But when you've got a string of cars behind you, it makes it so difficult to get out of the way. And, back to your blue flag theory. It's not so much a move over flag as a heads up flag in sports car racing. Kind of heads up that the leader will be passing or a lead lap car will be passing you and that you are slower and to make room. Now, that does not mean get off of the racing line necessarily. What that traditionally means, usually means, is be predictable, yes, and facilitate the pass when the pass opportunity presents itself. So when they catch you, give them the room they need to go by. You don't have to move off the racing line. The racing line is predictable. That's where people know you'll be. But you've got to make sure to leave room on quarter exit if somebody goes around your outside, something like that. That's kind of what that blue flag is stating.
Well,
and if you have a chance at a straightaway, maybe let somebody by there. But that's if you get a chance at a straightaway, and those don't always present.
I need to dip my hand a little bit more into the sports car regulations, get a better hand and feel on how it all works out. I'm well associated with short track racing, NASCAR rules, stuff like that, oval racing. But road course racing is still relatively interesting concept, a new concept to me in some regards. But, always fun to dip your hand into something else. A little update, I will say, on the incident that happened with Mark Stevenson getting pushed off the racetrack. It's a little insult to injury, I will say, but Riva has been issued a drive-through penalty for an unsafe rejoin. But, however, with the right front and the left front still very much disconnected off that race car, I don't think he'll be serving that penalty anytime soon.
Dollareva seems to be waiting on the repairs. These guys are supposed to have one fast fix. And they do. Riva seems to have not came into the pit lane. Might not have realized that it was there, or might have left it unchecked as an accident.
I think it's force of habit to uncheck that fast fix, especially when you think you're going to be in a good position, you're going to be having a good race, and you just have that force of habit to keep it unchecked, because the only time you expect to come into the pit lane is when you're coming in for your scheduled stop, and you don't want to use it when you don't need to.
Either way, problems for Eric Riva, an unfortunate exit for him for sure. We're on board now with Ozzie Milwane, somebody who has lit up the timing charts these opening 3 rounds. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Running in 7th spot.
Another Acura. I'm seeing a lot of Acuras here, Andrew. I wonder if there's a coincidence in all these guys using them.
That's what I was saying. The Acura and the McLaren seem to be the cars of choice today.
Right, I was making a meta-type joke.
Yeah.
I try. I try to be funny.
Okay.
Andrew doesn't like my jokes, but in the same regard, I'm not necessarily a fan of his dad jokes yet.
Always a work in progress here, just like this race. We got so many battles all over the racetrack. Let's cover a couple of them quickly. Robert Nash down in 13th spot, chasing Kevin Hill. This battle was larger. It has since kind of fallen apart a little bit, aside from these 2 Acuras very close to one another. Hill in the 52, Nash in the 96. We've also got a little bit deeper in this field. How about Chris Willard in the 32 car? Just ahead of one of the few Ferraris in this field, Brian Bertoum. And Scott Kennedy was looking to make a pass there at turn 5. Thinks better of it. David Henger is there in tow. These guys are the new 15th place battle that we were talking about earlier. Even deeper yet in the field, Shane McCoy, Mark Stevenson. McCoy in an Acura, Stevenson in a Mustang. There's even a line of cars further back of here. Jeff Cardamone. Side by side with Nick Kuhn, actually. Look at this side by side action through the carousel. Kuhn gets in line now.
Side by side through the carousel is probably one of my favorite passing zones on the racetrack. At least at Road America. Definitely at tracks like Watkins Glen too. Carousels to offer such great racing. Love to see it. Through the kink and down into Canada Corner here in just a moment. Looking for a move to the inside right here.
Jesse Canales to the inside.
Ooh, I thought Kuhn was going to have to run wide there, but the Porsche in front runs wide. Is that our leader?
Lionel Callisto off the racetrack. Not our race leader, thankfully. Teammate to him.
Similar paint schemes. They throw off spotters and broadcasters alike.
Here's a look at what happened to Lionel Callisto. Turn 14, I would imagine, just got loose, and sure enough, when he turned in, the car just came around on him. Kind of continued that way for a little bit. So finally he was spun all the way around.
Get those rears heated up too much. It's a common occurrence in road course racing, Andrew, that you heat the rears up too much, and it's going to cause the car to spin out and, in a sense, get loose. It's a common occurrence. One I have learned and dealt with multiple times. We see some side-by-side racing up the hill.
This is Chris Willard and Chris Willard and Scott Kennedy, David Henger. Willard's up the road, actually. So it's Kennedy and Henger. Still learning paint schemes in this race. Of course, they change up every time. They're always in different cars and whatnot. It's always a learning curve when you open up one of these majors broadcasts trying to find who's who in the zoo. But Henger loses that spot to Kennedy. Bertoum in the Ferrari sits right behind one of our few Porsches in the field, Rafael Santos, in the 18th spot right here.
Who's who in the do.
You've never heard me say that?
Never.
I could have sworn I've used that in a broadcast before, but regardless, we move on.
We move on through the grass right there. I'm seeing a lot of drivers dipping their right side tires into the sand trap off of Canada Corner. I don't know if that's them just running a little wide, or if that's some sort of tactic because it's not included in track limits somehow, some way, shape, or form.
I wouldn't say that it's a tactic. It's just the racing line. Track out that little bit and clip the grass there. It's just where the car kind of naturally wants to go and ends up being the racing line for these guys. As work down to the turn 1 here on what is lap now 13 of an expected 58.
Ooh, that was close right there going into turn number 1. That sets up a side-by-side battle right there.
Jay McCoy on the outside of Lionel Callisto. Callisto goes through for 19th spot.
And Callisto saw the checkup right there going into turn number 1. There might have been a move going on. Couldn't necessarily see it too well from the camera angle, but set up the pass for Callisto to start tracking back up in the field, get those spots back. Stevenson looking to the inside here. And that's a lunge down underneath. Oh, they're going to make a little bit of contact off the racetrack when they get back single file.
Stevenson goes through for 20th spot. Brian Bennett now right behind in the 22nd position. Of course, we saw the problems earlier for Bennett. All the while, things have been calming down and spreading out front. Nathan Dowd to a 3.6 second lead. Ross Banfield 1.9 seconds back of Aiden Campbell. Chris Challoner on Ross Banfield's bumper. Then Dallas Pataska, Ozzie Milwane, Bradley Haley, Austin O'Neill, Vincent LaHervier, and Kevin Hill, your top 10, as it looks like, did we just lose Lyndon Swaby from connection?
I think we did.
Just saw the 67 drop off by Tom Gibbs scoring all of a sudden.
Checking.
Maybe he's back, actually.
And he's in the sand trap.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Canada Corner.
I don't know what happened there.
Had disappeared from existence for a little bit. And then rejoins us in a moment. Wait for it. Here we go. This is into Canada Corner. Just missed the braking zone entirely.
Oh, no. Thankfully, when it comes to hitting those tire barriers, it does not do a ton of damage to these race cars, but you see that right front pushed in, or excuse me, that left front pushed in on that race car. So he'll definitely have a few handling issues. Might have a toe issue. Oh, he got a little airborne there off the right front.
Baby continues on. Has not pitted for the damage.
Attrition right there. That's what you like to see.
And checking in with our race leader, Nathan Dowd, continuing to lead from Sector 5. Again, a very popular team here in the Major Series Americas. A lot of drivers in this field from that team. And one of them out front at Daytona in the Intimidator. It was all Nathan Dowd and Lionel Callisto in the finish, on the fuel mileage finish to the end. It's continuing on nicely for Dowd, not so nicely for Callisto, who's down in 18th position.
I did watch the end of that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I watched the end of that Daytona race, and it was a very, very exciting race. I'll say that, with that fuel mileage and how they had to set up that strategy. I think I tuned in for about the last 20 laps. I was at work at the time, so couldn't watch the whole thing.
It was an instant classic, I feel like. A really good finish between those drivers. But here's the onboard with Lionel Callisto deep in the field, 18th position. Trying to work his way back forward after his mistake early.
taking his time here going into turn number 1. You know, the big thing that's going to come up here in the next about 30 minutes or so is the pit stops, and I think that's where a lot of drivers are going to look to make their moves. I think you're just going to see guys pulling into the pit lane, and the guys behind them, like Callisto here, are going to see that open availability for racing room in front. They're going to be able to push a lot harder. You know, obviously when you're sitting behind someone, you can't push as hard as you'd like to. You might have a different braking zone compared to the guy in front of you. You may brake a little bit harder. You see there, Callisto gets right on the back bumper, and he may want to push harder through that corner. He may want to push a little less. So many different ways to race around each other, so many different ways to race for yourself. And when you have that open racing room from guys taking into the pit lane, it can provide an open advantage. If you're faster, you can take that lap when that car is in the pit lane and use it to your advantage, especially when they are going to have cold tires coming out of the pit lane.
You speak of cold tires, and it looked like Callisto was on cold tires there for a second, got real free out of turn 8. Quick little correction, continues on down the road. While we have a point in time here, a little brief break in some of the craziness that we've seen in this race. I want to give a big thank you to those who help us out here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. Now, Zach, we haven't really seen anything yet that I feel like fits into the Lucky Performance Lucky Break of the day.
I was just say I have a nomination.
Go ahead.
The only thing that I can think of right now that fits in to the Lucky Performance Lucky Break of the Day is the driver that's currently sitting behind Callisto. That's Mark Stevenson, running off the racetrack to avoid Eric De La Riva, who is now officially out of this race and has taken that car to the garage. He's done for the day. I feel like that is one of the only things at the moment that could qualify for Lucky Performance Lucky Break of the Day.
Yeah, I don't have a rebuke for that, so that's pretty fair, although goes deep into turn 3 there, nearly off the racetrack on corner exit, and is going to allow Shane McCoy to go by. So Stevenson definitely still fighting tooth and nail here deep in the field. Here comes Brian Bennett on the inside. Be the outside though for turn 5, and he might have a run. I don't disagree with that nomination.
Ooh, look at the fight up in front. Callisto's going to go on by.
Good for 17th now over Rafael
goes
Santos.
Off the racetrack.
Oh, you're right. Lost those couple of spots finally. Falls to the 21st position. Right ahead of Shane Vickery. A bit deeper in the field, a little train of cars here. Jeff Cardamone, Nick Kuhn, Brent Pancari, Colin Tobin. We know a little bit about Brent Pancari. If I can get the words out, we know a bit about him. Used to run in the Nork series on Pit Stop TV. I've raced with Brent many a time, Nork, and very much enjoyed doing so. Brent's a really cool driver.
Nork was
good to have a part of this.
Before my time.
Before your time here on Pit Stop TV, yes. But, past there. Pancari goes by Nick Kuhn. Got free out of Canada corner. Now Kuhn falls back to Colin Tobin. And Tobin's going to go by. So Tobin in the 238 Mustang is going to take that spot right away. That's good for 27th on the racetrack.
Hard to believe we have so many battles on the racetrack, Andrew. And I don't mean that in the negative sense either. I mean that in the fact there's 44 cars that started this race. I think we still have about 41 or 42 of them still on track. And, you know, I haven't seen this many cars in a race in a long time. So I find covering battles a little difficult sometimes, I'll say.
I believe there were 52 in the international region.
Oh, wow.
And I forget the number of drivers in the European race at Spa. I know that started off with a terrible incident over Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Thankfully, it's a sim and drivers were okay, but it was a pretty nasty crash for sure. While we're talking about the other regions, in the international region, it was Benjamin Roberts, Ewan Baker, and Sam Sutton standing on podium. Again, that was at Bathurst last night, this morning. And in the European region earlier today, they raced at Spa. It was Daniel Thomas, Jesper Eriksson, and Edward Shelley on podium. You can search those races by searching Major Series on YouTube and find them. Or you can go straight to SimSpeed for the international broadcast and Global Sim Racing channel for the European broadcast. Shout out to each of those channels and groups broadcasting here on the Major Series. We're so lucky to be alongside them here in 2025, and they did a fantastic job. I was watching a little bit. I was doing some late night prep, getting ready for this event, and watching a little bit of the international race last night. SimSpeed, Reese Gardner and Lynn Kinchlow on the broadcast. And then I even tuned it a little bit right at the end. I missed most of it, but right at the end of the European race with Joe Peak and Jake Sperry on the call.
I didn't even know they had a European split.
Burning all the time.
I know the Major Series has a large number of drivers that participate. I remember when we covered the Majors 24, they had what? They had 6 or 7 different splits.
There was a large number, that's for sure. We covered split 4 last year, and there were a few below us. There were a few above us. Just saw Lionel Callisto go by for 16th though on Brian Bertoom, ahead of Rafael Santos and Shea McCoy.
His trek upwards continues through the field, but now he's got a large margin up to the next car. Who is the next car actually up in front of Callisto?
That would be Scott Kennedy in that red and blue Acura. He's up there with Chris Willard and David Henger.
So a bit of ways away from getting up to that Acura.
Gap is about 3 seconds.
But we're setting up for pit stops here in about 20 minutes or so. So we'll end up seeing some track position get changed up, a little change into the guard. As we look back on our race later, 4.5 seconds in front of the 552 of Campbell. And then it's another 4 further seconds back to Banfield. So he's got a very commanding lead right now here at Road America.
And Nathan Dowd out to a very big lead. Nearly 5 seconds. You see the ticker there at the bottom right of your screen. The delta between the two drivers. And smooth sailing for Dowd, and that's rare. It's super rare to start on pole and just get out of the way like that in a GT3 race here at Road America. Usually there's so much drafting that there's always a fight. But it has been calm for Dowd so far. And, you know, in the North American Racing League on Thursdays, the conversation tends to be about tire changes and how much time these guys want to spend in the pit lane. Here, in this Majors event, I think it's going to be straight up. Everybody takes as much fuel as possible, packs it completely full. And if they've been saving, they're going to try and go a little bit longer, to run longer on a light tank, and then take less time in the pit box.
That provides a different question though, Andrew. What if you ran long but saved? So you've got extra fuel in the tank. Wouldn't you just fill it and take a shorter stop?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, so you want to run long if you can and take less fuel, less time in the box.
But what if you ran the tank dry and took less fuel then?
Well, that's what I'm saying to do.
Okay, I feel like we have 2 different strategies we're thinking of, and I'm overlapping them differently and incorrectly. Hold on.
No, exactly what you're saying is exactly what these guys are going to try to do. They're going to try to run long. and run past the 1 hour mark if they can. That way they can take less time in the box on pit lane.
Right, but what I think I said it incorrectly. What if you're short pitting is kind of what I'm getting at here. You still have fuel left in the tank, but you're in your window, and you can pit, take less time in the box, but fill it up completely.
Well, the answer comes down to, like I was saying, you can run more time. So if you run longer, you're running longer on a lighter tank, so you're faster down the straightaway.
I'm not doing math tonight, Andrew. I'm not doing any math or fuel calculations. I do enough math here on Pit Stop TV. Oh boy.
Thankfully, it should be pretty straightforward. It should be, like I said, just a come in, top off, fill it all the way up, going, or at least most of the way up. And there's only certain delineations of numbers that you can use to fill these cars up. You can't go to every degree. It's not like filling up a real car where you can stop after a certain amount of drops or whatever. These guys have certain amounts they can fill the car with, whether it's whatever number and whatever decimal or however many liters, however many gallons. So it's not an exact science. So you might see drivers try to take a chance to take that one tick less of fuel, like whether it's a half gallon or a half liter. And that could mean that they have to save, but they get off the pit lane a little bit quicker and are able to jump somebody and make a pass, but they have to save then and just lift off a little bit earlier into a couple of corners. That may be something that these drivers try to do in the pit lane. It's going to be very interesting to see, but it should be a pretty straightforward pit cycle regardless.
I'm wondering if they incorporate a similar tactic for what you can do in oval racing, mainly on short tracks, where if someone's behind you, you know they're faster, you don't run full pace as we see pit stops underway. You don't run full pace, you back off a little bit, you kind of check them up so you can still save, but at the same time still hold position.
This, I think, I'm not sure. I was going to say, I think it's a pass-through, but he's coming in and getting tires. This is Aiden Campbell in the pit lane. What this may be, Zach, is a realization that he wasn't going to make it all the way on one stop. So he's coming in and breaking it down into equal segments, 40 minutes each, and getting fuel now. That's about my only idea here.
They're still in the box. How long does it take to usually fill these cars full, though?
I don't know the exact amount. I think about 40 seconds or so.
Well, 33 seconds in the box, 64 in the lane, comes right back out.
Right with Joseph Holman. He's going to have cold tires that he's got to wrestle with.
It's going to be hard to fend off somebody that close on cold tires, but looks like he's got the pace to do it. Already pulling a little bit of a gap right there coming off of turn number 3.
Well, this is our second place car, Aiden Campbell. So this is a significant pit stop to take note of.
I'm doing a little bit of thinking here.
That now leaves Nathan Dowd out front by 9.4 seconds. Then Ross Banfield only has about 4/10 back to Christian Challoner.
What
and
are
and Ozzy Millway in the top 5. What's up?
What are the benefits of a two-stop strategy?
The benefit is that you won't run out of fuel. That's about it. Because you want to one-stop this race if you can. 100% want a one-stop. You do not want a two-stop. Two-stopping, you're kind of accepting your fate that you weren't able to save enough gas. Make it a one-stop.
But if the one-stop is a strategy that is known and can be done, then why waste the effort on the two-stop strategy?
He probably realized that he wasn't going to make it on fuel. He was looking at the numbers and probably realized he hadn't done a good enough job of saving or whatever. Let him to come on in and split it down into 3 parts.
Makes enough sense to me. But we look on at what is now our second place car. There's a lap car up ahead. There's some fights through the midfield.
Colin Tobin again with Jeff Cardamone. Side by side they go into turn 1.
Really tight.
Yes, they are. And
Force
one car
wide
goes
in the
off.
grass.
Yeah, it's Cardamone out there. Trying to fight his way back onto the racetrack. A little bit of contact there. And Jeff gives it up.
Back to single file racing. The common occurrence that we see in GT sports car racing. Is GT? Wait, hold on a second. GT3 is still a category for the World Endurance Championship, correct? Because I know they just redid a lot of the GT categories, especially in IMSA. Now we have GTD and GTD Pro. We don't have
GT3.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so GT3 and GTD are the same thing. IMSA calls it GTD and GT Pro. It's Daytona. But it's
there we go. It's coming back to me. My knowledge and my understanding is still somewhat coming back to me. It's been a long time since I've covered a GT style race here on Pitstop TV. I think the last time I did a race like this alongside you, Andrew, was for the NARL, and I know you have other help for that series right now.
And Mason Houseman helping us out on Thursdays. I believe that was Phillip Island Circuit back in August.
Yes.
They just got back going, so they had their season finale for season 6 in August, and they just began season 7. We're back into road racing here on Pitstop TV. Gives us a leg up when we have these road rounds in the major series. Keeps us on our toes. Battle here for ninth spot, Kevin Hill and Robert Nash.
Still baffles me how drivers can go into that corner. I've tried to learn how to do it, how they can go into that corner and not get a penalty or an incident for violating track limits. You know, don't put all 4 tires past the white line, they say. That's how you're able to keep from going off track limits. But use all the racetrack is another thing you're told when it comes down to road racing. Use as much of the racetrack as you possibly can. Run these cars about as wide. Make yourself a roadblock in some instances to be able to turn the fast laps, especially around tracks like Road America that have a lot of places that you can really abuse those track limits without race control. Really getting on your keister here. Rolling up front. This is the battle for second, though. Looking on board with the third place car, Kristen Chalonier trying to hunt down that Corvette right up the road. That's Banfield in that 777.
I'd imagine Christian's trying to fuel save right now. I'll save all that he can in the draft of Banfield.
Not very close to him to be drafting, though.
Well, that draft delta's about a second. So you can definitely save fuel sitting here and a little bit off the throttle, whether it's 90% or whatever down the straightaway, and just save that little bit. That throttle position matters so much. And you heard it was a bit of an early lift into turn 1 there, an early lift again here to turn 3. It's not just, and we'll pull up the telemetry graphic here and go to the driver POV. Listen in here to turn 5. It's not just off the gas straight to brake. It's kind of off the gas and coast. Listen to it.
Yeah, he didn't fully jump into the brake until deep into the braking zone right there.
He's lifting and coasting just a little bit. Fuel saving all the time is Christian Challoner.
Now, what about short shifting? Short shifting does help with fuel saving. You're using less RPMs off the initial pull. I would assume that a lot of these guys would short shift as well.
I think with the straightaways here, corner exit matters so much. You'll see a lot of these guys out still red line, just because that means they can keep on the straightaways and stay in the track.
Makes sense.
Still on board here with Christian Challoner inside the Acura that runs P3. It's a McLaren out front, a Chevrolet in second, Acura in third, and the BMW in fourth. A believe Aussie Millane has our first double manufacturer. I believe he's running a Acura back there, an Acura or McLaren, I forget which. You find out?
That would take
An Acura.
There you go.
So 4 different manufacturers across the top 4. A second Acura is in 5th, and then a 5th manufacturer runs in place, a Ford Mustang, with Austin
Good
O'Neill behind the
representation.
wheel of an Acura there in 7th. And yeah, you're right. You're right. A good, solid representation of several manufacturers across the top end of the field. Deeper in the field, it's a lot more single manufacturer, a lot more Acura and McLaren. But up front, a healthy mix.
Do we have any other Corvettes in the field besides Banfield? I haven't seen another one.
Oh, I think there was one other. Yes, Brad Wren.
Only 2 Corvettes being represented. You hate to see it for the Chevrolet camp.
Look at the paint scheme for Brad Wren, iRacers Lounge podcast. Number 25 Corvette.
You know, the iRacers Lounge podcast is one that I've seen popping up in my feed lately, and I haven't taken the chance to listen.
This is a sign.
It might be.
Canales behind the wheel of a Dr. Pepper strawberry cream. Gotta say, it's one of my favorite Dr. Pepper flavors. There's a few out there now. There's Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream, cream soda, blackberry, coconut and cream, I think.
Bright cranberry?
That's right. We're talking about Dr. Pepper right now.
Yeah, but every time I start, I hear these soda flavors, and immediately comes to mind Sprite cranberry. And the only thing I think about it is that freaking commercial that I see all the time around Christmas time. You want Sprite cranberry?
That's effective marketing then. If you're thinking about it in March, someone did their job.
These newfangled marketing strategies, Andrew.
Well, out front, effective running from Ross Banfield keeps in second place. Mistake-free so far today. But you'd like to see it.
We rolled towards the end of the first hour. About 7 minutes here. When do you think we're going to see our first takers to go for that one-stop strategy? Might need to start playing that Jeopardy music there for a second.
Well, sorry, I got a message that I was reading alongside. I've got 4 monitors, a lot of information in my face. We'll see some stops here shortly. The goal is for these guys to all go past the hour. That's what they all want to do. Whether or not that's the case, we'll see. We'll find out. And we've got a pit stop here, Jesse Canales.
There you go. You see tires go up on that Acura as well, though. Yeah, he's up on the jack. Rear tire's still spinning now.
He's on the gas. That's one of the things I find humorous about iRacing is that the rear tires keep spinning when you're in a pit stop like this. We saw one other car come in. That was Jeff Cardamone in the Frontline Motorsports Porsche.
He's also up on the jack.
Yeah, it'll be tires all around for these guys, I think. It takes long enough to fuel that you may as well come in and get the tire set. Joseph Homan also in.
Starting to see drivers potentially going for their one stop here, or their 2 stop. You never know. I think when we see drivers, like you said, Andrew, pitting past the hour, it's guys that I think are respectively going for the one stop strategy. Although we got about just over 5 minutes to halfway, this might still be within the window.
These were short stops, fuel only for Homan. Looks like it might have been fuel and tires for Homan, not sure. It's definitely a shorter stop at 23 seconds, 28 seconds for Cardamone, full 40.8 for Canales. So Canales actually took a full tank of fuel here and is going to try and stretch it out, it looks like. But that is asking a lot of the tank of fuel to go that distance. And here's another pit stop. Kevin Hill comes in. Ozzie Milwane is in. That's trouble for those drivers. That's a lap or two too early still. And you know what? To be fair, there was a long pace lap here. So if these guys are saving, maybe they can go this distance. But it's going to take a lot of saving. You don't want to have to save that much in that run to the end. Tires going on both these cars. Lionel Callisto's in. A lot of cars coming in. Mark Stevenson. Rafael Santos. Shane McCoy. A whole lot of cars coming in.
What was that about, a one stop, Andrew?
Well, you want to. There will definitely be drivers that can't. But you want to one stop this race.
At some point, I feel like the line needs to be drawn from the strategy of whether or not you want to just go full push mode, go for the two stop, or if you just want to try to save. And I feel like you got to make that dissertation pretty early on in the race, maybe within the first 10 to 15 minutes of what you really see or expect yourself to do.
The driver I'm surprised by is Nathan Dowd. The fact that he's still out here leading this race by 12 seconds and has not yet had to pit. Now, I might be about to eat some words here. He might have to come in this time. But no, he continues on. He has got to be running on fumes.
I would assume with 3 minutes to go before the halfway mark, most of these drivers are running on fumes. More cars coming out of the pit lane. We see one ducking in there just out of camera shot.
Was Bradley Haley, the Mustang, along with Austin O'Neill in the Acura. O'Neill, Haley, LaHerbier. I sure hope we're saying Vincent's last name. I think it's close. Herbier, I hope it's close.
Look, man, I feel sympathy for the guys that get their last name mispronounced just because I get my last name mispronounced. I mean, heck, when I was running Summer Shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway, it took Steve Post 2 years to pronounce my name right. Because it's German.
You know what did it was I walked down there one time to Steve and said, hey, guy's name, Curtis.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I stopped him in the garage one time when I was talking with him with a couple of teammates, and I told him how to pronounce my last name. That was in 2022, actually. Yeah.
Pit stops are in full force right now, and we expect Nathan Dowd and company in. If not this time, the next time around. Dowd is going to go by that iRacers Lounge podcast machine. Will be, of course, Brad Wren in that Corvette. Wren falls one lap down for now, but I believe Wren is also pitted. Yes, Wren is on his out lap. That should put him back on the lead lap when this cycles out. Do we see Nathan Dowd pit? The answer is yes.
Your leader finally into the pit lane, just around that 1 hour mark. You think he's going to be able to go to this?
Come in? The answer is yes. Look at who stays out, though. Christian Challoner and Dallas Mataska will stay out on the racetrack.
They're going to make it past the hour mark, though.
Yes, they will. That's very important for these two drivers. They will be on full tilt here to the end.
But if they had to save to make it to the hour mark, does that mean they can push now or no? They still have to save.
As big as this track is, them getting this one extra lap, they should be able to push.
I don't know. I still think that they may have to save a little bit to make it to the end. I still think they're just going to be a tad bit short. And we've already run. I mean, we're 28 laps into this race. So the fact that they've gone this long in that hour, so they'll hit about 29 laps when they come across the line. 28 completed. So that would put them up for what, a 66, 67 lap fuel window? Or, not fuel window, total race run there, I would assume.
58 is the expectation from ATVO right now.
Oh, I said 28.
You get through an extra 10 in there. So that's okay. You might have carried an extra 1, and who knows, but it'll be an expected 58 lap race. Could be 57, could be 59. We've gone past the 1 hour mark by about 38 seconds. We expect these two to come in this time by. We're going to keep watching them very closely to see if Challoner or Pataska can go an extra lap. They stay out here along with Brian Bennett and Shane Vickery, but they should be coming in this time by, and yes, they will.
Go.
Challoner comes in, Pataska comes in. They get right down to pit speed.
Very close together coming into the pit lane. They've been hooked up together for quite a while now.
We're the veterans here.
I would assume they're probably going to keep working together. Honestly, in the same regard, then, is it just a mutual partnership at this point that they've been running close to each other, or do you think it's just coincidence?
Probably coincidence, but you see these guys go up on the jacks and they rotate tires. Now we've got to watch for Brian Bennett to come in. There we go. Shane Vickery. Vickery is in. Which means now we can focus on Aiden Campbell, who has picked up Vincent LaHerbier. They each short-filled. Get out ahead of Nathan Dow. Lead some laps here. Challoner about to leave. Pataska about to leave. But taking over the race lead is Aiden Campbell with a short fill on fuel along with Vincent LaHerbier. Each of them, I think, realizing they weren't going to make it on fuel, so they have short filled here. They'll have to make one more pit stop. See there, the pit time, 33 seconds. That's not enough. Needs to be a 40-second stop if you want to make it on fuel.
What if they still have fuel in the tank?
Well, for Herbier, who actually made it to the hour mark, there's only 25 seconds. So he definitely is going to have to come in and top. Now we know Campbell pitted at, 40 minutes in? But they will each have to pit. Also, really helps Nathan Dowd actually be able to save off of these two if he can just get to them. Be able to save a little bit of fuel. Make his day a little bit easier if he can just catch up.
I think with the pace that he's had today, he's definitely going to be able to catch up. Put himself in a good spot to retake that lead. He's got his lead still, very commanding lead over Banfield. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. He has just been leading in dominating fashion. And look, he closes even more through Canada Corner. He's got a ways to go to get up there to those two cars that are working together. He's out of drafting distance as well. And you know, you talked about it earlier on, Andrew, drafting distance about within a second. And I try to reduce that down a little bit when it comes to road course racing. Obviously, it's about within a second on places like super speedway racing, Daytona, Talladega. But when it comes to road course racing, I tend to put it down a little bit more to about, say, 7 to 6/10. Just because you want to be a little bit closer, because with, you know, driving it in deeper into the corners, having better corner exit really allows drivers to pull away, get a little difference with each other. And I feel like if they've got better pull off the corner, then what difference does the draft make off corner exit?
Well, while we have a moment to kind of relax here, pit stop cycle is done. Let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Next up, we head to Talladega Super Speedway with BRB Racing League and the Butt Kicker Cup Series. It's March 18th, this coming Tuesday. NASCAR Cup cars at Talladega. What more could you ask for? for Speedway Racing before we head out to Portugal on Thursday. And that's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Our very first broadcast from Autodromo Internacional Algarve, otherwise known as Portimao. Not going to take you up on that offer. But it'll be our very first broadcast from Portimao. Very much looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that March 25th race, though.
I was just going to say,
Cup Series.
We head out to the Rockingham Speedway on Tuesday, March 25th. That'll be another BRB Racing League event.
Oh, we love Rockingham Speedway. But that's just the North Carolinian in me. But so many places to find the exciting races coming up here at Pitstop TV, pitstoptv.com, facebook.com/pitstoptv, instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, youtube.com/pitstoptv1, and x.com/pitstoptv_. And as I wrap up the social medias, we've got one car off the racetrack, Andrew.
Jeff Cardamone. Racing here with another Acura, the 176 or 178. Shane McCoy contacted at turn 5 and ran wide there on quarter X with a little bit of a jump, a little bit of a hop. Comes up the crest at turn 6 and contact there with Brad Wren in the 25 sends the front line 314 to the tire barrier. Also, props to Nathan Dow. He has caught up with Vincent Leherbier and Aiden Campbell and is now able to draft off of them, save some fuel. So props there, and then Dallas Pataska is still with Christian Challenger. They run 5th and 6th.
They're a lot closer to Banfield, though. Look at that.
Actually, further back.
Really?
Remember, Banfield was only about 3/10 up before the pit stop. Challenger is now about 1.2 seconds back.
No, I meant closer to Campbell. That's what I was trying to get at there.
Well, yeah, but Leherbier and Campbell have got a pit.
Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Brain is not doing brain things right now, Andrew. Banfield, thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. The Banfield and Challenger are closer together than they were before the pit stop cycle.
No, they're further apart.
Okay, I'm just banging my head against a brick wall now. I don't know what I'm talking about. I assumed that they were closer together, but I'm going off of visual reference rather than just going off of timing and scoring.
Well, regardless, we're a little over halfway into this race, and on the left side of your screen, you see the scoring pile on the ticker. Well, if you take a look there on the right side of it, you see the positions gained by each of these drivers. Right now, Herbier is up 16 spots. That's going to change. He's got to pit along with Campbell. Then Dowd, Banfield, and Challenger are each down 2 spots because of those two being out front. And otherwise, it's pretty calm throughout the course of the top 10. You even have Austin O'Neill, who is riding exactly where he started this race. The big changes otherwise in the top 10, Ozzie Milling down 3 spots in 9th, and Kevin Hill up 8 spots into 10th. So as we think about driver of the day coming up here soon, Zach, I think that's a very important stat to look at.
That it is. Lots of positions gained throughout the field. Sorry, excuse me. I was getting a message here like you did earlier. I was listening in. Race Control just chimed in. Car number 25 has been given a 10-second post-race penalty for avoidable contact.
That's Brad Wren. All that contact coming over turn 6 with, who was that? That was Jeff Cardamone. So race control has ruled on that incident and hands out that penalty to the 25 car, and be 10 seconds. That would move him back to, right now, it would move him back to about the 29th position from 21st. So that's a pretty hefty penalty.
That it is. That's 8 spots that he's going to have to give up. And, you know, when you're already so deep in the field, it's hard to just even want to give up any more spots like that. So he's definitely got to be punching the air or something in hearing that penalty. But the race continues on either way, Andrew.
Saw it briefly before taking that little segment there. Mark Stevenson has caught up to Chris Willard. These two are 16th and 17th. Willard ahead, Stevenson behind. And Nathan Dowd is all but caught up to Aiden Campbell. Is just about there. This is allowing Vincent LaHerbier to pull away.
And Dow's caught up for that second spot. You know, you talked about it, those two up front, they got a short pit again to make it to the end of the race, but I don't know, Andrew, if they're out here still running really well too. I mean, do we see them take to the pit lane? I mean, LaHerbier has pulled out a little extra gap, especially on Campbell and especially on Dow. He was a little bit closer. Now he's closer to 2 seconds back.
A little bit fun with your guys. You can watch the gears and such for Nathan Dowd. You know, 2 hours as opposed to 12 in the Sebring 12 hours, it's a sprint race, right? But opposed to a lot of other road racing, this is a bit of an endurance race. 2 hours straight for these guys is about a stint you would do in the Daytona 24, for example, or even the Sebring 12 hour. It's about a single stint, so it's a long time in the car. And I gotta say, so far, for an hour and 13 minutes, these guys have been absolutely spectacular. The cream of the crop. We had big incidents at Bathurst, big incidents at Spa. But this has been a really, really calm race. Just a couple of small incidents here and there. We've heard a couple of protests happen, but that's about it. It's been a very calm race, no big shunts. Just a tip of the cap to all these guys. Hats off to entire field right now. I mean, yes, we have 3 cars out, but 41 cars still turning laps right now. Over an hour into the race. That is impressive.
I'm inclined to agree. We have not seen a lot of cars drop out of this race. Only so far about 2 cars. I say that, and David Henger is actually out of the race. He dropped out a little bit ago. So that's 3 cars out. But, you know, even in modern oval races like NASCAR or, well, NASCAR is usually one of the oval, but only oval racing categories that runs that many cars. You don't see that many cars running towards the end of those races anymore. So I agree with you, Andrew. This is really impressive.
Riding on board of Austin O'Neill, he runs in 8th. He's trying to chase down Bradley Haley, one of the Ford Mustangs that is out front. And if things cycle out the way I think they will, Haley's going to cycle into 5th position. Well, Austin O'Neill is chasing him for that 5th position. Ozzie Millwane's just behind. Kevin Hill in 10th. The bottom end of the top 10. They're going to move up a couple of spots once those pit stops happen for those couple of drivers that can't make it to the end.
Talking about how these guys can't make it to the end, Andrew, and I still feel like some way, shape, or form they know something that we don't.
Campbell would have to run an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh Lord.
But we know Campbell for sure cannot make it. And Herbier, short filled in the box, only took 25 seconds to fuel. Tells me neither one are going to make it. They have teamed up together. They are teammates.
You would think they could draft off each other a little bit, save a little extra fuel, maybe run that a little bit further of a distance.
Not an hour and 20. So Dowd is falling back, by the way. He is down to 1.3 seconds back of Campbell. Well, these three have spread out now. The Medic Racing pair leading the race, and then the Sector 5 driver in third. But expect Campbell and Herbier in within the next 5 laps.
I wonder if they take tires and just go for a run there at the end. See if they can catch up.
I'd actually be curious to see what they can do without taking tires. See if they touch the tires a little bit.
They're gonna
take a little bit less time in the box, maybe. It's going to be close.
They're gonna lose around a minute in the pit lane.
Well, they might still. It's questionable. They might have enough time with all the fuel they have to take still take tires. But if they can do it without taking tires, I'd be curious to see. I'm not perfectly sure. But it'd be an interesting strategy call to say the least, as Jesse Canales has gone by Chris Willard for 17th position, which means Stevenson has also gone by Willard. That was for 16th earlier. Brent Pancari, Shane McCoy do some battle here, down in 25th and 26th spot. Leonard Swaby, who we saw go off into Canada Corner earlier, is down here in 27th.
A lot of dust and dirt right there off the corner exit.
These cars that we were just looking at, Bradley Haley and such, are doing some battle. Austin O'Neill goes by Bradley Haley. That's good for 7th as they run. Izzy Milwane right behind in 9th.
Mostly single file racing though. It's what we've seen majority of the day. I know there are certain cars that can't do it, but can they go full throttle through that kink back there before Canada Corner?
It might take a little bit of a lift, but you definitely want to try to go wide open through the kink. It depends on if you're in traffic or not.
I know the dirty air would play a big factor in not being able to go full throttle through that kink.
Here you see Shane McCoy has gone by Brent Pancari for 24th position. Pancari falls back to 25th. Now Swaby will be on that Pancari machine. Still watching these two, they continue on for now. But if Campbell's going to split it up into 3 equal parts, time to pit in just about now.
Ooh, a little off track right there for our race leader. I feel like they want to extend that gap a little bit more before heading to the pit lane. It's 3 seconds down to Dowd. And the further you extend that gap, the less time you're going to lose going into the pit lane. So that would be the smart option, to just extend it as much as possible. Like I said, Andrew, they more than likely could lose around a minute in the pit lane. If they take about 30 seconds in the box, I think lane time included, it's going to be what? 55, 60 seconds, maybe 65?
It would be hard to say. When L'Herbier pitted for 25 seconds of fuel, it was a 56-second trip down the pit lane. Campbell pitted before, it was a minute and 4 seconds total. Let's see, do they pit this time? Do they keep going? They will continue on.
Staying on the racetrack. That's what I like to see. You know, in the same regard, Andrew, though, once they stay out this long, it gives them less time to overall make that comeback and get some spots before the checkered flag. So you just got to ask yourself, what's more of a benefit?
Well, now Ross Banfield's been caught by Christian Challoner. And Challoner might be able to go on the offensive here soon. Would be as they run for fourth position.
Figured you would see a move there into the braking zone, but I guess not. Not close enough. Still single file for the most part. And this little group of cars have been so close together really throughout the race, Andrew. I mean, the gaps have been extended quite a bit throughout the race, but this group of three cars has been amongst each other the majority of the race. And, you know, let's throw caution to the wind, play devil's advocate here. Say Dowd wasn't even in the race. Say this was the race for the lead. This would turn into, you know, something really spectacular for them to fight it out, three cars amongst them. But even so, they're still fighting for points. They're still fighting for valuable track position. Second place, third, fourth on the racetrack. It still could shape up to a race to the end here for these guys.
A lot of fun to watch Challoner, Pataska, and Banfield here. This should be a really good battle as the day wears on. 36 minutes to go. Again, ATVO is expecting about 58 laps. The drivers just completed 39.
Don't look now, Andrew, but I'm sitting here looking at the ticker. You look through the fights throughout the field, but Campbell's closed into under half a second for that race lead.
Teammates, though, so I don't think they're going to do too much fighting.
If they both got a pit, track position.
We'll see. I think they'll still work together, but anything, I suppose, is possible.
Keep an eye on this little gaggle of cars here. About 5 of them you can toss under a blanket.
Had one car go down the order. I believe it might have been Bryce. On his pace a little bit slow. Bryce Homan Joseph Homan is in the pit lane. So here we go. Some stops already. The drivers that are not going to make it to the end on fuel. Homan comes in for about 29 seconds.
I think it's a good indicator of what we'll see for those top two as well. See him, he's halfway through the pit lane after going through his box. He was already at 45 seconds. There are leaders passing by right now. And by the end of the pit lane, coming on out past the cone, 59.8 seconds, Andrew. That's how much these guys could lose from a fuel stop. You know, that's all dependent on how much you need to take, too. He took almost what looks like a full tank. That was 28 seconds he spent in the box.
About 3/4 of a tank. Leave a full tank is about 40 seconds.
There you go. Well, you know, the closer we get to the end of this race, the less time they're going to have to spend in the box. These top two, they're closed up to about 2/10 on each other. And we're getting down to our final 30 minutes here in just a moment, about 4 minutes till. So the question still remains that we've been asking ourselves this entire time, Andrew. When do these guys decide to take it to the pit lane? When do they decide enough's enough? They know they're not going to make it. They know they have to get there. I know I made the dissertation earlier about get that gap up a little bit further. They're up to about 4.4 seconds. That would be your leader in that 5:46 Hubert above Dowd, who we're thinking going to take over this race lead and eventually win this race. But things can change on a dime here, Andrew. Things can always change.
Watch on from the fan cam here at Road America. Fan perspectives around the racetrack. Really what they're trying to do is just soften the blow of having to pit a second time, because they will have to pit one more time. And the faster they can run now, the higher up they'll be when they make that pit stop. Your position they'll lose. They will continue on. No.
Oh, here we go.
Campbell comes in. The Herbier will stay out. Campbell will come in. That now breaks the pair of Kinetic Racing drivers up at the front of the field. That puts Dowd into second. Banfield will come by and go into third. There's Banfield and company. We'll say the Corvette makes some really nice sounds. This camera has got a really nice audio track to it.
I think the street version has the highest horsepower naturally aspirated V8 motor. I was actually telling somebody about that.
Oh, here we go. Christian
Here's
Challoner.
the move. Ooh, he took a look.
Looked to the inside, thought better of it. No passes made.
Still so close together. I think they're finally starting to realize it's within that last stretch of the race. Time to go for some track position.
At the same time, if you show your hand now, Banfield can get in behind you and draft all the way to the end and make a pass at the very end of the race. So it's tricky. You really only want to make the pass right now if you feel like you can drive away. And if Christian isn't totally sure if he can drive away from Banfield, then he might stay in behind. It's a really tricky thing.
We'll have to see how it all plays out. 30 minutes should be when they cross the line.
You know, I haven't come across anything lucky yet, Zach. I know you had your nomination for Lucky Break of the Day for Stevenson, I believe it was. More or less missing that crashed machine of Eric Dollarima. By the way, Vincent LaHerbier has just pitted, so that confirms that those two Kinetic Racing drivers could not make it to the end. And Banfield will take over for second spot. And now we'll be battling with Challoner for second. But I haven't really seen anything else come up for Lucky Performance, Lucky Break of the Day. It's been a very quiet race. We've still got 41 cars all the way down through Wesley True and Peter Cheney. 41 cars still on the racetrack. I mean, that that tells the tale, I think. We had a couple of big incidents. I say a couple of big incidents loosely. We had a couple of marginally large incidents early in this race at a turn 5. But it has been very calm for a 2-hour race at Road America. These guys have been on it.
That they have. You know, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around who might be a good nomination for driver of the day. I've been just kind of sitting here thinking about it for maybe the last 15 minutes or so. But there's a couple of good headlines throughout the field, I'll say.
I want to give a big thank you to our friends at Lucky Performance coming on board this year. Brett Pancari having to pit.
Ooh.
That was not one that I expected.
Hey now, not up on the jack either, so no tires. Fuel only out and away. That's a very slow exit right there. 11.8 seconds in the box, so a splash and dash, we'll say, for that race car.
That'll drop Pancari out of the top 30. Now down to 31st spot, 32nd, nearly 33rd. I say this has been a bad day for a couple of veterans of the series. Jimbo Pfeiffer, Ray Partridge, both outside of the top 30. Pfeiffer runs in 34th. We saw the troubles for Pfeiffer earlier today. Partridge runs 36th. But up front, other veterans having a very good day. Challoner, Pasco, Banfield. Here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Ethan Dowd out to a 9.5 second lead. And you know, something we haven't talked about yet, Zach, is the weather conditions for this race. It's a little bit warm out there, 75 degrees in the air. The sim date is in August. So it's a little bit warmer, 111 track temp. A little bit toasty for these guys, but it hasn't really shown. It's been rather grippy out there for these guys by comparison to what it could be. We have not seen many grip issues.
I was really thinking this would be a bit more of a slick track, I'll say. But, yeah, no, to your point, Andrew, not a lot of grip issues. Moving a little back further through the field. Campbell with a big lunge right there. Big lunge.
It's been his specialty, turn 5 today. Aiden Campbell goes by Lionel Callisto. And will now look up at Tom Abramidis. So even after the pit stop, Maherbier looking at 9th place. And Campbell looking at 11th. And trying to make that 10th. They could still both top 10. That would be huge for Kinetic Racing.
Would keep the two-stop strategy alive.
It's still slower than a one-stop, but they're doing a decent job of lessening the blow, I will say. They have been on it today. Very few mistakes, if any. Oh, as one car goes off, that was Lionel Callisto. That's always scary when you go off in the pink. That is hair-raising, to say the least.
That's a big Snappa oversteer moment going off.
Uh-oh, that's going to come back. Tom Abramidis gets sent off by Aiden Campbell. A big lunge at Canada corner. Going to look back at the replay. On board here with Campbell out of New Jersey.
Going into Cannon corner here. Big lunge, send it in on in. Not enough room.
Get one more look at it here.
Nothing from race control about the incident being under review either, Andrew. So we'll have to wait and see if that gets protested.
I would imagine so, but you never know. Can we get an overhead shot? Maybe. I want to see if there's netcode. This might show right here. No. Just got in deep. And Adramaitis didn't leave him a whole lot of room. But there was enough room for a car. And Campbell just kind of overdove as Cardamone is into the pit lane.
So we're hearing from Race Control as well that the incident is under review. So
as I think is fair to say would be.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. This late in the race.
Looking on at Bradley Haley, Ozzy Milway, and Kevin Hill as Vincent Laherbier goes fastest at a 2:05.189. Fastest lap of the race right there. And Zach, it's that time. 20 minutes to go thereabouts. NARL Driver of the Day conversation has come up. And we've had a lot of time now to sit back and watch. Hour and 40 minutes, Max. Sit back and watch and see who's got it and who doesn't. I'm going to put you on the spot here for your first nomination for Driver of the Day.
Go with a familiar face. I'm going to go with Dallas Pataska, sitting in the 4th spot. Doing a really good job today, keeping that BMW up there. One of the only BMWs we've really seen on the racetrack so far today, too. So, he's out there representing. He's doing a good job, and he's having a good time doing it.
I do believe he is the only BMW driver here today. I've not seen another BMW in the field. Balanced car. It's definitely got speed. Personally, I can't pass up everything we've seen on Nathan Dowd. 9 seconds out ahead of the field. I would feel wrong if I passed him up personally. That's just me.
Well,
I know it's the easy pick.
You're not wrong.
He's just been so good today.
That he has. I'm still a little bit on the fence for my second pick, but I think I'm going to have to go with Hubert in that 9th spot. You know, they pulled the double strategy, those two teammates, him and Campbell. But it's been a really good battle of attrition for them to stay up in this top 10, to keep doing what they're doing. Obviously, Vincent's led about 10 laps so far. He's done a good job in that Acura. His teammate not too far behind. They're both sitting in the top 10. You can't really discount the strategy that they pulled, even if they miscued it a little bit by doing the 2-stop rather than the 1-stop.
Vincent Laherbier added to the roster for the Driver of the Day vote. Then I will go second place, Ross Banfield. The top Corvette of the day has been holding off Christian Challenger to this point. And while Challenger hasn't made too many moves at the spot, he's been out there ahead of Challenger, unable to save fuel, whereas Challenger's been drafting all race long and saving. I'm going to give props to Ross Banfield here today. I'm going to go for the 7 and the 777. And that Driver of the Day vote will go live over on YouTube. We invite you to give it a vote and decide on today's Driver of the Day, brought to you by the North American Racing League. Speaking of these two, 20 minutes to go. I feel like gloves are off at this point. I would start racing if it was me.
I feel like they started racing about 10 minutes ago. They haven't really made any passes on each other, but I feel like I feel like they turned it up a little bit about 10 minutes ago. Really starting giving each other a little bit more. More to work with, that is. But we've got less than 20 minutes, Andrew. They're running out of time to start getting racy.
On board with Christian Challenger in the number 1 car. Just inside of 10 seconds behind the race leader. And Kevin Hill is into the pit lane, along with Ozzie Milwane. These two could not last on fuel. You know, I wondered about them, and this is about the time that we'll start to see these drivers realize, all right, it's just not in the cards. Let's go ahead and pit, top off on gas, and head back out. This is going to help Herbier and Campbell. They're now up to 7th and 8th.
This speaks volumes to the strategy a little bit. We had multiple cars in the top 10 on two-stop strategies.
I will say they committed and went to it. They knew early that they were not going to be able to save enough fuel to do it on a one-stop. They committed to it and have run as fast as they possibly could the rest of the race. Whereas all these other guys now have been saving and running themselves a little bit slower doing so, and are now realizing they're just not going to make it. So props to these two. And as far as how many stops have been made so far, your top 6 are all on 1 stop. Herbier and Campbell are on 2. Austin O'Neill in 10th is on 2. Ozzie Milwane is on 2. He runs 12th. Kevin Hill is on 2. He runs 17th. 4 or less, everybody else is on 1 stop so far. And Milwane gets released right behind Adamitis. So this is a fight for 11th.
I think it shows just how much pace can be a big factor when it comes to how the strategies work out amongst the drivers. You know, you've got top 6 on all on 1-stop strategies, but Nash is way further behind in that 6th spot, much closer to Herbier in that 7th spot. So you got to think, Andrew, about how these strategies have worked out with these drivers compared to their pace.
Minutes to go, waiting on some dominoes to fall on to lap 49 of an expected 58, which means we are right at 10 laps to go. There you see race leader Nathan Dowd just ahead of Brett Pincari, who's had to pit a second time. Got back to Ross Banfield, Christian Challenger, and Dallas Pataski. They've been on the screen a lot today. 3 cars under a blanket all race long. Right at 10 seconds back of the race leader.
I feel like those are the only 3 cars that have not made a pass to advance their position, but I know they've all made a couple of passes to advance position to get where they're at right now. They've been like that for how long now, Andrew? Over an hour?
Certainly over an hour. I'd say most of this race. They have been nose to tail like this, and there have been a couple of other cars mixed in at certain points. We saw Aiden Campbell make those aggressive moves on lap 1 and lap 2 and such. Otherwise, these guys have been under a blanket all race long.
Well, like I said, Andrew, they're running out of time to make moves on each other. 1 car coming out of the pit lane there. Not going to be a factor in their fight.
Ozzie Milwane, Tom Abramidis. Milwane takes a spot away. That's good for 11th. Early in this race, we had battles aplenty. We couldn't look too far without finding one. Now, everybody's strung out.
Yeah, so
2 hours
close together.
Right, 2 hours has done the damage. Spread this field out quite a bit. We still have small packs here and there. I mean, we've got these 3 under a blanket. We've got Ozzy Milwayne and Tom Abramitis. We've got Scott Kennedy, Kevin Hill, and Jesse Canales relatively close together. Even throw in Chris Willard. But that's about it. Everybody else is pretty spread apart, although there is a battle amongst the drivers that are a lap down. Ray Partridge chasing down Sebastian Jackson. That car directly ahead of that green and blue 8 of Partridge. So this is for position, albeit for 35th.
Well, a spot's a spot nonetheless. And actually, I completely forgot to mention, car 552 has been given a 5-second post-race penalty. So Campbell being assessed with a penalty for that contact in Canada corner. I think that'll drop him down, I think, 1 spot behind Callisto. Actually, it might drop him down to 10th behind O'Neal.
Yeah, it's going to be close on O'Neal. That's all the more reason for Campbell to run as hard as he can these last 13 and a half minutes and get all he can on the racetrack and try to limit the blow. I think that's all he's been doing today is trying to limit the damage that will be done, whether it's by taking 2 stops or now by taking on a penalty.
You got to do what you got to do, Andrew. Road racing is a tough discipline. And, you know, honestly, what they could do here is play the team game, get by these lap cars, and back up to Campbell a little bit, give him some draft so that way he can actually pull away from the cars behind him.
Looking back at Tom Abramitis and Ozzy Milwayne, 11th and 12th. A couple of Acuras doing battle. And one car into the pit lane, Jesse Canales. Not able to make it on fuel. Be a short fuel and go.
Really short fuel, about a quarter of a tank of gas.
Canales will head back out onto the racetrack here. And we'll see if any cars are coming to go on by. Next car back is Nick Kuhn. He's for position. Kuhn is... I know it says it's to Gabani, but it's actually tracking to Kuhn. You see Kuhn in the background, 1.5 seconds. There we go, nice little fight. Alan Tobin facing down Shane Vickery. We've seen Tobin a couple of times earlier today. Vickery we've seen once or twice. These two are battling for 19th and 20th. It's become up to 10 minutes to go here shortly.
Yeah, Tobin's been in the spotlight a couple of times today. They're running in the 19th and the 20th spots, so they're not exactly
20 spots. That's impressive.
Not exactly top 10, but I mean, hey, 20 spots. I feel like that's a win in of itself.
I would agree. That's impressive.
Dang, I should have nominated him for.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
That would have been a great nomination.
Meanwhile, is up 10 spots, 11 spots. Actually
Still
recap some of the field and some of the positions gained if we do so with the ticker here. Right side of the ticker, Tom Abramitis is up 12 positions, Lionel Callisto up 10, Vincent LaHerby up 10, Robert Nash is up 14 spots. Jesse Canales is still, even with that second pit stop, up 18 positions. You get guys like Dick Mueller, Jimbo Pfeiffer, Ray Partridge down 16, 17, 15. Chris Willard pits. Very short stop. Well, he'll head back out.
about 38 seconds in the lane, 6 seconds in the box, so it's a splash and dash for that car.
And there's Canales right behind, so he enters into a battle for 24th. Guess he's got a chance here at one more spot.
I would say cold tires would be to his benefit, but it was a splash and go. No tire changes at all. Just really putting a heat cycle on the tires.
Battle down to turn 5 here, and Canales will stay in behind. Here we go, Ross Banfield. Christian Challenger finally doing battle through turn 1. Down to turn 3, Challenger's got the inside. 10 minutes to go, and the gloves are off. Banfield loses second.
This is the fight we were waiting to see just about all race. Now Pataska's drawn into the mix. He's catching a draft off that Corvette. It's like a DRS train, just without the DRS, but they're all moving in unison, having that snake going defensive into the corner. Banfield around the outside. They're going to be tight. Banfield goes way offline, and now they're back single file.
It was real close, but a real cool move there at least from Banfield. Dives back to the apex there of turn 6. Loses a little bit of time on corner exit. Really cool stuff right now.
Still hanging tough right now. 8 minutes to go. Only a few extra laps left. I wonder when Pataska decides to make a move, put himself in a beneficial spot. Multiple cars coming into the pit lane though, Andrew.
Carlos Santos, Mark Stevenson came in. Jay McCoy came in. Back up to Banfield, a move here to turn 13 or 12 rather, Canada corner. Banfield back up the inside. Christian Challenger is going to be on the outside for turn 14. If Banfield can just hang on, the answer is no. Challenger clears. Out. Here comes Pataska.
Elbows out, ladies and gentlemen. The gloves are off. Pataska was not there. Can't send him up to get the run, but he's going to bump draft him down the straightaway, Andrew. I haven't seen bump drafting in GT cars in a long time.
Hey, we saw it at VIR on Thursday. A little more here today. Will there be a move made by Banfield or Pataska? Pataska looks to the inside, thinks better of it.
Fake out. That's allowing that number 1 car, Challenger, to pull further away in that Acura.
Oh,
big
man.
miss on the apex by Banfield. Pataska is going to sneak on through.
Pataska goes right on by, and Banfield is on the back foot trying to draft back up to Pataska. I don't think he's going to get there by turn 5. This could be 4th place now for Banfield. And yes, it is. He's going to lift a little bit early. Pataska drives it into the corner. So the 2nd place Corvette all day long becomes the 4th place Corvette. Banfield, who had been 2nd for oh so long today, down to 4th position. Challenger now cleared of 2nd. Pataska cleared of 3rd, and they're all setting sail. Bradley Haley's the next car back. He is 18 seconds behind this group as Brad Wren comes in. Colin Tobin comes in.
More drivers that couldn't make it on that tank of gas. Now you've got lap traffic up ahead that's going to hold up this Acura and allow Pataska to close in on Challenger. But with just under 6 minutes to go, Andrew, what do you do here? I mean, do you just start going all out push mode now that you have the guys who you were racing well behind you? You're not exactly racing for the win, but at the same time, it's a podium finish here.
Truthfully, I don't think Pataska gets back to Challenger. I think he's just a little bit too quick right now.
9/10 back right now.
He's been saving all of his stuff all race long. Going to go by the Sector 5 machine. I believe that's Lyndon Swaby.
That's a interesting way to go about it there for a second. I thought Challenger was going to go to the inside, and I thought the lap car thought of it too, and then quickly moved to the right-hand side. So one thing we talked about early on in this race, Andrew, be predictable. That was a quick move to the right-hand side.
Car gets out of the way, lets Challoner go by. See the gap between Challoner and Protaska on the bottom right of your screen. Christian Challoner might be second best today. Doesn't quite have enough, I don't think, to catch up to Nathan Dowd at this point. I mean, 8 seconds, it's a long ways to go.
He's definitely got a quick car, though.
Yeah. I mean, he lapped last lap a little bit quicker than Dowd. At a 2:05.504 last lap, and that was actually the last lap around was Challoner's best lap of the race. Which makes me wonder if he held himself back from a potential win today by sitting in behind Ross Banfield all race.
Early pace proves to be good for the potential outcome. Losing a little bit of ground here, but you tend to see a little bit of ground loss when these drivers go through the kink. See him grab it right back here on the ticker. But, yeah, I got to agree with you, Andrew. I think holding back early on in this race might have been to his detriment because you see just how much he's closing in on the race leader. I mean, at the start of the lap, he's about 9.7 seconds back. And right now on the ticker, he's about 8.6 seconds. So he's closed a huge gap.
There you go, bottom right of your screen. That's the gap between Challoner and Dowd. Task a bit of a shake of the wheel. They climb up the uphill, back up to the start-finish line. Should be about 2 laps to go. That lap was again Christian Challoner's best of the race. That time, a 2:05.411. And that was compared to Nathan Dowd's 2:06.017. So nearly 2 seconds quicker that lap alone.
Oh.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Nearly 1 second.
I was about to say.
For some reason, I had in my brain it was a 2:04, not a 2:05. It was a 2:05.411, so nearly 1 second quicker.
Well then.
There you go, right behind. Banfield back up the inside. Protaska gives it to him.
2 minutes left to go. Do we see that Corvette get back up to being in the second spot like he has been most of the race?
Bradley Haley back into the pit lane. He was running 5th.
That's unfortunate. Honestly thought he was going to be able to make it along with the rest of the one-stoppers, but it doesn't look like he was going to have it.
Nathan Dowd, though, out ahead. 8.9 seconds up on Christian Challoner. This time by should be the white flag. This time by for Nathan Dowd will be the white flag at Road America. The 2 hours of Road America have been all Nathan Dowd to this point. We've seen small segments of other drivers leading, Vincent Laherbier and Aiden Campbell. But there you go. White flag is out. One more time around here at Road America for Nathan Dowd. 9 seconds up on Christian Challoner. 10.8 seconds up on Ross Banfield. 11.5 seconds up on Dallas Protaska. All he's got to do is coast back around and just make it in on fumes.
He's got that car set on cruise control, Andrew. He doesn't even need to pass these lap cars. He can just be generous. Let them stay on the lap they're on so they can run that extra time across the line, take the white flag for themselves, and take the checkered flag. Absolutely on rails this entire race here at Road America, Andrew. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's been in position where it counted when he needed to be there, and I mean, it's the lead. No really other place to be other than the lead, but he's just going to keep sitting here behind these lap cars. He's going to roll through the carousel here in just a moment, Andrew, and, well, he's going to take us home through Canada Corner, up through the S's, and back onto the front straightaway.
There you go. Officially, the white flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. One more time around. This is the final time. Through the kink for the Sector 5 driver, Nathan Dowd. Christian Challoner in second place. There he is, in some lap traffic. Got to make things interesting on this final lap. Ross Banfield in third in that Corvette. Was able to unleash some power here. Dallas Pataska has fallen back to fourth. Robert Nash in fifth. But it is all Nathan Dowd out ahead. And this time up the hill will be the final time for car 7, a McLaren. Started on pole and never looked back. Nathan Dowd is going to make it a perfect 3 for 3 to open up the 2025 Major Series with a win of the 2 Hours of Road America. Christian Challoner to the line, takes second. Ross Banfield third, Dallas Pataska fourth. Now Robert Nash. Come across the line here in just a moment and take fifth position. That'll be your whole top 5.
Here, there's cars running out of fuel coming to the end of the race. It was that close on the one stop, gentlemen.
There goes Robert Nash across the line. And Vincent LaHerbier just coasts in. Aiden Campbell comes across. Austin O'Neill. 8th position. Ozzie Milway 9th. Tom Aberline is 10th. Goes Brian Bennett, Kevin Hill, Bradley Haley. I feel for Bradley Haley. If we had an unlucky... Oh, wow. Haley, fastest lap of the race at 2:04.941.
How about that there at the end? I was just
going to say, if we had an unlucky break of the day, it would have been for him. But that is an impressive last lap there, a 2:04. I believe the only 2:04 of the day from Bradley Haley. As everybody else comes to the stripe, we'll see if anybody runs out of fuel here at the end. Goes Mark Stevenson in that Mustang across the stripe. Chris Willard should be next. There is Willard. Wren, 21st. I believe he's going to have a penalty after some contact earlier. There's Nick Kuhn in 22nd. And one car is slow. Jesse Canales has underfueled and is trying to make it up the hill here. That's a steep hill. I don't think so. That's a steep hill to try and get up. And sure enough, no. Jesse Canales is going to take a DNF that close to the start-finish line unless somebody comes up and pushes him. Unbelievable.
You hate to see it so close to the line.
I don't think help is coming for Jesse.
Nobody behind him. I mean, I'm trying to see.
He was the final car on the lead lap.
He got it kicked right there. Got it kick started. He's moving slowly.
To ride the starter.
I don't think he wants to tow, because if he has to tow to the pit lane, that's going to cost him, in terms of timing and scoring, an extra lap. There is one car still on the racetrack. That would be the 546 rolling through that last corner.
Vincent LaHerbier is able to push that machine. Oh, Vincent's coasting, I think. And he's going to give it a shot. Here he goes.
He said it's going to be a hard hit. Ooh, big heavy hit right there. And
Vincent's out of gas. Oh, just enough here.
No, he's not. You got even race control cheering them on, trying to get them up the hill.
Waiting on one car to finish here in what will be the longest final lap in Road America history, I think.
Race Control has actually just asked Raphael if he would help these guys get them up the hill. Here he comes.
Comes Rafael Santos in that pink Porsche.
He's going to give him a big shot. Right here.
It's going to be a train.
There we go. There we go. Up the hill they go.
And Jesse Canales is going to have help from a few other cars here, a couple other cars, try and get to the checkers.
Come on, guys. You're almost there.
Barney has stopped waving the flag, but Canales is slowly inching closer and closer. Right here at the end, Santos is going to give him the push across the line, and Jesse Canales will finish the 2 hours of Road America.
Headlights flashing all the way around. That is sportsmanship at its finest, Andrew.
Well, after a bit of a long last lap, that'll cap things off here at Virtual Road America. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results. When it's all said and done, Nathan Dowd out front, led 44 laps of 58 completed. Christian Challenger in second, Ross Banfield third, Dallas Pataska there in fourth. Robert Nash completes the top five. Vincent LaHerbie and Aiden Campbell, your top seven. But Campbell, we recall, will face a 10-second penalty that will drop him behind Austin O'Neill, Ozzie Millane in ninth, and Tom Abramatis in 10th.
Rolling through the rest of the running order, Brian Bennett, Kevin Hill, Bradley Haley, Scott Kennedy, Shane Vicari. That's your top 15, that is 11th through 15th right there. 16th will be Lionel Castillo. After trying to recover after some early incidents in the race, Andrew, he had a solid recovery there moving through the field. He just wasn't able to gain a lot more track position. Zeke Cabani and Brenton Foster round out 17th and 18th position. 19th is going to go to Mark Stevenson, and then Chris Willard will be 20th. And then out of the next half of the field, really only 5 of those cars were still on the lead lap at the end.
Finishing 21st, you'll find car 25, Brad Warren. I believe he's going to have, a 5-second penalty that should drop him behind Nick Kuhn. Rafael Santos will finish 23rd, Brian Bertum in 24th, Jesse Canales 25th, and Kevin Santana. Canales credited 1 lap down. I think the timer ran out on him to finish the race. I'm not sure. Credited 1 lap down. He should be credited with the lead lap, but regardless, I don't think the position's going to change. Kevin Santana 26th, then Colin Tobin, Shane McCoy, Lyndon Swaby, and Brent Poincaré, your top 30.
31st is going to be Dick Mueller, and then Jeff Cardamone is going to be at 32nd. Jimbo Pfeiffer in 33rd. Joseph Human in 34th, or Homan. I think it's Homan. I think I said that wrong there. 35th is going to be Sebastian Jackson. Ray Partridge is going to be 36th. Bryce Roberts is going to be 37th. And Ray Partridge and Sebastian, I think, had a bit of a moment towards the end of that race. I'm not sure. I heard some radio communication between the two, but it didn't really affect their finishing position overall. Brian McGreevy is going to end up 38th. That's going to be 2 laps down. And I think I forgot to say Bryce Roberts in 37th, so I'm going to recover him again just to cover my bases. But David Callahan is going to end up 2 laps down as well in 39th. And then Wesley True is going to end up 3 laps down in 40th. And even though they were laps down, Andrew, all these cars were still running at the end.
All the way down through 41st position, Peter Cheney, all running at the end. 3 cars did not finish this race. David Henger, Eric Dallariva, and Eric Staropoli. Fortunately, not a good day to be named Eric in the major series. A couple of big DNFs there in 43rd and 44th for them. And 1 lap apart as well. If they were in, regardless, problems for them. And that will be it for the NARL Driver of the Day vote. That means Nathan Dowd is today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day in the Major Series. Good deal for Nathan Dowd. I think that's more than deserving for driver number 7. And we will
50% of the votes too.
Yeah, I think that's more than deserving for Nathan Dowd. We'll drag him in here and talk to your top 3. Nathan Dowd, another checkered flag for you to start this season off. Can you believe it?
I mean, I guess at this point, yeah, it's kind of have to believe it. I'm honestly still surprised. It's been an amazing start to the year.
If you don't believe it yet, you better start believing it. 3 wins here, 2 at Daytona, now 1 at Road America. This has got to be the best start anybody's had all year across all the different regions and whatnot. I don't think anybody's gone 3 for 3.
I know Vavrosky went 2 for 2 after the first 2. I don't know how he did in the, I think he runs, I don't know if it's the Euro or the International, but yeah, he's the only other one I think I went 2 for 2, so I mean, it's hard to do, so I'm a little bit surprised. I don't know. It's, like I said last time, I'm still pretty surprised of the start I'm having with, I mean, guys like Ross and Christian. It's never been really close to competing with them in the past, to be honest, so this has been an amazing start, so we'll have to keep it going best we can here.
And you run for Sector 5, and we see a lot of Sector 5 cars out there on the racetrack each round. What is it about Sector 5? What do you guys have? Clearly, you've got something that nobody else has got.
I mean, honestly, we don't do anything too crazy. We just, we put in a good number of practice laps. We had a pretty good handle on the one stop was going to be the way to go, and we don't really get too crazy into like setups or whatnot. We throw a couple around and go from there. But it's just a good group of guys. We just have fun, and we push each other a little bit in practice, and so I don't know. I think more than anything, just being comfortable with a group of guys, having fun, making it more fun. With a group like that, it makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, honestly, we're just kind of having fun, and it's going well. So.
And is there a reason you opted for the McLaren over any other car here today?
Yeah, just I was the fastest in that for myself, and the fuel was good. I was honestly close between it and the Ford for me in terms of like pace, but the Ford would have been a little bit tougher to do the one stop. At least for me, I wasn't able to get the fuel economy that I was with the McLaren with the Ford, but. Honestly, I like the handling of the Ford better. And kind of, for me at least, I was burning the fronts off a lot in practice and get a lot of understeer, and Ford never really had that problem for me. But I figured I'd just take it easy and do the one stop, try to save tires the best I can, and worked out.
Well, congratulations once again, Nathan. Good to talk to you after this one. 3 for 3. Can we go 4 for 4 in the World 400? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
There you go, Nathan Dowd looks to make it 4 for 4 in the World 600 coming up in about a month. A solid effort out of driver 7. He is today's driver of the day, Zach. And next up, that means it's going to be Christian Challoner in second.
And Christian Challoner coming home with the second spot. He did a great job to get up there to that second spot. Christian, you had a very solid run. You were around similar company between the other 2 drivers with Banfield and Pataska for well over an hour in this race. You just got it done there. How you feeling, man? Bringing it home on the podium, second place.
Yeah, I think I'm reasonably happy with that. I would say kind of prior to the race, my goal was pretty much hang around with Ross and to see if I could get a move on him, which I was able to do, so I was pretty happy. I had absolutely nothing at all for Nathan. I saw he put in a pretty fast qualifying time last night, and initially I was kind of like, yeah, well, that's cool, but like, let's see what race pace is like. And then he turned up and he just totally destroyed us. So, yeah, I just literally watched him drive off at the first stint, saw him go 28 laps, and as soon as I saw him do that, I was like, okay, well, he's won. I'll battle Ross and Dallas for second, and I'm glad that I made the one stop work. I think that actually made my life a lot easier, even with that kind of battle that was going on. It meant that there was pretty much no way I was going to finish lower than about 5th. So, yeah, once I was did 29 laps first time around, and I had 28 to the end, I was like, okay, well, this is good. Let me just see if I can nab second here. Kind of like a really mentally taxing race, especially with saving the fuel at the beginning. There's a couple of guys who weren't. Like Aiden was immediately like, I want to go. I'm like, okay, fine. And then there's some other guys in that group who just didn't quite make it. They made it like 27 laps, and as soon as I saw them pull off earlier, I was like, well, we got you guys, because you're gonna really struggle in the second hour.
Absolutely. And one thing that Andrew made a mention of not too long ago when we were in the middle of the broadcast is that you were turning very quick laps at the end of the race once you got into that second spot. Do you think sitting around riding a little bit early on in the race was a little bit more detrimental? Because, I mean, in your last few laps, you were turning laps that were around a second faster than the leader.
I didn't know that, if I'm honest. I did kind of figure that I was getting better as the race went on. Like, right at the beginning, I kind of wasn't really that settled with the car. I kind of just about hung on to Ross, and thankfully Dallas didn't really attack me at all in that first stint. And then, yeah, kind of the second stint, when I wasn't worried about the fuel as much, I was getting a bit more confidence in the car. I mean, it's interesting. The whole reason I picked the Acura to drive was because it's the only one that I haven't had any direct input on the dev for this class. So I pulled it out Friday night. I was like, this will be interesting to see how this is. And initially I was like, wow, this is very different to to kind of what I normally go for. I normally like the Porsche, and the Porsche is very different to drive. So yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve, really. The whole, even up to qualifying, I managed to get a decent lap in. I was like, okay, like we're not gonna finish last. And then in the race, the pace was kind of just building and building. I mean, you know, maybe if we ran the race again now, I would have a better chance of holding on. But to be honest, I don't think I would have got any more. I mean, Nathan was just so fast. Like that first stint, he just dropped us and left. Like I think the second stint, he probably had more in hand than he was showing. Just, you know, he had to save a little bit, but he also didn't, you know, he wasn't fighting anyone. It was kind of a cruise for him. So I think maybe it does suggest that I was a bit more comfortable at the end, but I think it's a bit, you know, no way was I a second quicker than him. Like, just no, he would have still won, I think.
Absolutely. Well, you still put in a solid effort. You got the second spot taken care of, and that's a good solid points day. So congratulations to you, man, and we hopefully will see you in the next one. Congrats once more time.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And, you know, Andrew, I think we've heard of on-track awareness. I think pace awareness now needs to become part of the trend as well.
Sounds good. Well, let's dial up third place driver Ross Banfield here at the end of things. A solid effort out of driver 777 comes home in the third spot. And Ross, for a long time you had second lockdown. Is there anything you could have done differently to defend that better over Christian? Ross might have stepped away for a second. Ross, do you have us?
No, I'm here. Sorry, my thing was saving a replay, so it was for some reason not letting me talk. Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, so for a long time you had second lockdown. Obviously, Christian able to best you there at the end. Is there anything you could have done differently to hang on to that spot?
I mean, the only thing I could have done differently is if I had a person in front of me to draft off of. I was saving as much fuel as I could. I actually ran out as I came across the line at the finish, so that's how tight I was. So once he passed me, I don't think there was much I really could have done, because I needed to save a little bit more fuel before I had the guarantee on the white flag. And then once the white flag came out, I started to reel him back, but it was too late by then.
Well, it's been a solid start, at least to the season. Getting a third place here is always a bunch of points for you. So looking forward to the World 600, the Speedway 500 coming up here in the next couple of months. How do you prepare for these?
For ovals, I just try to practice saving tires, because I'm horrible at that with oval. It's kind of the discipline that I don't really practice. So it's my weak spot, so I'm just going to try and stay clean and hopefully not burn any more of my drop weeks. And then maybe I can come back later on in the year with a contention for the championship.
If you say the ovals aren't really your thing, the next road event we have is the Le Mans 2.4. Do you start practicing for Le Mans, or when do you start practicing?
I usually practice the week of. I'll just get in, and then maybe like Thursday, Fridays where I put in an hour or two, and then I just show up. I'm usually pretty quick on pace when it comes to road cars. GT3s are my weakest, and then anything open wheel or prototype I'm pretty confident in.
If this is your weakest, we look forward to seeing what you can do in an open wheel car in a couple of rounds later this season. Best of luck to you. Congratulations on third place. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Ross Banfield, third place. And Zach, I'm telling you, if this is his weak spot on road, I look forward to seeing what he can do in some other cars, some open wheel cars. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, I think so too. I think that if he can nail road courses down too, that would be a real good sight to see.
Well, that's it for us as far as the driver action on track goes here at Road America. We can talk about what's upcoming for us in the Major Series. Of course, the World 600 is next. Usually that event held around Memorial Day weekend, well, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. The problem is, Zach, if we did that, we would have two events the same day because of the Speedway 500, and that would not work out very well. I mean, we could do it, but that'd be a big undertaking on it. So we split those events up. The Major Series has, and the World 600 is happening in April this year. The Speedway 500 will lead into the month of May, and then we'll have a quick turnaround for the Le Mans 2.4 on June 1st. A really solid next couple of races for these guys, and very important races as well. 3 headliners across the board. Daytona is a headliner in and of itself. Anytime you go to Daytona, it's a headliner. And then you have 3 headliners here in the World 600, Speedway 500, and Le Mans 2.4. I feel like this is kind of one of those sleeper rounds here at Road America, but it's going to be guns out the rest of the way here through the spring.
Yeah, and if you're a racer enthusiast or a race car driver, the month of May is probably the best month for you, I'll say. We do love the month of May around here, but I'm looking forward to that World 600 race with the Gen 4 NASCAR stock cars. It's going to be a fun one, I'll say, because Charlotte provides a lot of great racing. A lot of people say it's one of the best mile and a half on the schedule, and then you take one of the best generations of NASCAR and throw it on that racetrack, and, well, it's a recipe for, not for disaster, not for chaos. Oh my goodness, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? A recipe for greatness, we'll call it. And, you know, there's so many great emulated events on here, and I'm excited for that GP of Miami, too. I'm really, really excited for that one.
Yeah, I think the Grand Prix of Miami should be a lot of fun, and that throwback Indy car, the Super Late models will be in our wheelhouse with the World Series of Asphalt, and it'll be a lot of fun to move on from there. I mean, all of this feels in our wheelhouse until you get down to those last 2 rounds, and then suddenly we've got to go Gen 3 supercars, which are really cool looking cars. Ford Mustang and Chevrolet round 11, Bathurst, and then Japanese. First kind of broadcast for each of those cars for us here at Pit.TV. That'll be it for us this evening from Road America. Next up for us, we head out to Talladega Super Speedway with the BRB Racing League. Then it's Portugal for the North American Racing League on Thursday. And finally, next Tuesday, we go to Rockingham, the BRB Racing League, March 25th. Zach, plenty of places to follow along.
Absolutely. PitStopTV.com, Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, YouTube.com/PitStopTV1, and X.com/PitStopTV_.
That'll do it for us this evening from Road America. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure as always. We'll see you all next time here on Pit Stop TV. Hopefully, the BRB Racing League at Talladega Super Speedway on Tuesday. We'll see you then.